If I'm on. We are at day, oh my gosh, I forgot to look, 1,714 days, I believe it is. Let's see. Looks like I'm on. No, 1,716 days since Richard was targeted premeditatedly, systematically, the worst type of crime, taking his life away in a very brutal way, and being very disrespectful to his remains. That we have multiple autopsy reports because of multiple findings and international findings, some in Mexico, some here in the United States. And so it's pretty gruesome, pretty gruesome. And so, of course, we knew something was wrong, and we have for over 4 years been doing this, what they told us to do: investigate, bring them leads, investigate and bring them leads. And with all, we've gotten pretty good at filing, at the beginning, we didn't know. We documented, and we had a lot more trust for the system. And so if we thought we could just call them, right? Just call them, let them know. But we had a lot of operatives around us, a lot of operatives even still now. And because this case is so big, and they're trying to control the narrative, they're trying to control what gets out. And because this case is so big, they try to cover up the fact that Richard was a whistleblower, and his whistleblowing reports, his what they've whitewashed or what they've sealed. There's been a lot of orders to seal the case. Same thing with the Patrick Crucius case, sealing a lot of information. And, so it's coming, it's all coming out. And the Patrick Crucius case is just a total, it's just totally broken. It's just totally broken. And I hope that all of our efforts, and that's why we need you. That's why we come on every day, because it's a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. And you have to demand accountability. You have to absolutely not put up with the likes of Joe Spencer. He is the most corrupt defense attorney in El Paso, and he has absolutely exploited the American taxpayer, the taxpayer there in El Paso. And Patrick Crucius is not his first case. He wasn't so bold and brazen with this case because this was his first case like that he did this. They have a business plan, and their business plan is criminal and exploitative, and not doing their job, and they have no moral foundation when they can do something like they did in the Walmart case, a mass shooting, to really create a way to target President Trump and his 2020 presidential campaign. Absolutely, there is no doubt in my mind. All the hard evidence points to the fact that they wanted to divert attention from the audits and the investigations that President Trump's administration was conducting there in El Paso on Fort Bliss. And he also, 2017, 2018, 2019, just shortly before the Walmart mass shooting, was signing executive orders that targeted the money flow of the Juarez cartels. And well, the cartels, the activities of the cartels on the border. And so this absolutely is tied to the cartels and those that are narco politicians or agents, narco agents, or narco business people, that they do their business connected to the cartel tied activities. And which is really treasonous. It's absolutely treason because you're serving yourself with a foreign, a, a foreign loyalty, right? With a foreign loyalty, and I understand being very proud of your heritage. I come from a German heritage, very proud of our German heritage, and even the fall. Well, I don't. Um, Twisted, I should say, twisted narrative of World War One and World War Two of Germany, and of Germans, and I'm very proud. I've always been proud to be a German, but my loyalty is with the United States of America because first and foremost, I'm an American. So you can be very proud of your heritage, um, but when you are an American citizen, um, that's where your loyalties need to be. And even though we lived overseas for a long, long time, but we always paid our taxes. Our loyalties were always with the United States, to make the United States a better place, even if we were, um, serving outside of the United States. So, and even with things that we didn't agree with the United States, we didn't agree with the wars. Um, and Rob was doing everything he could to help the soldiers that had been injured, and not even just the soldiers. It was, those that were in these war zones. He was deployed a lot as a physician assistant, and you know, um, yeah, it's a lot of stories, but we were very honored and very privileged, and it was hard because a lot of deployments, So and putting your life at risk, yeah. Um, so uh, the point is that there are lots of people there in El Paso that have been profiting off of making America a worse place, exploiting America, exploiting Americans, and even at the expense of murdering a soldier. Um, and Richard was not the only one. There's a lot. And to cover up these criminal cartel ties. And it's not okay. And they need to be held accountable. And you see that President Trump is doing the hard work. It's not easy because some people don't think there's anything wrong with what they've been doing, and you know, it's true. It's true. They think it's okay to be con artists. They get very mad if you're not letting them exploit and uh, con people and make the world a worse place. You know, they don't. Yeah, they don't look at death the same way, and they don't look at relationships the same way. They don't look at the country the same way, and so it's a tough job. Um, to preserve this country and the economy that it takes to preserve it, and of course the rule of law that it takes to preserve it. And it's you have to believe it's absolutely wrong what they did to Richard, what they did in the Walmart case. You have to believe that it is absolutely treasonous that they would use a mass shooting. And absolutely, there is no doubt anymore, right? There's no doubt that they absolutely orchestrated the mass shooting. And how do I know? Because of Joe Spencer's own words. Joe Spencer's own words and all of the evidence. The mass shooting happened on August 3rd, 2019. There's no doubt, right? There's no doubt. It happened at, what is it? Uh, you know, August 3rd, 2019, before noon. Before noon. And we know that for a fact. It's time stamped. 7-day weeks have never been broken. So we know it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. And, and they, they absolutely orchestrated it. And it had, um, multiple treasonous individuals involved in this, from um, the agencies, from the military, from the criminal justice system, um, and and also I would say uh, cartels from across the border. And that's what I'm saying. People don't understand that they don't look at life the same way. If they want to preserve their billion-dollar business, they will absolutely create such an operation. And Joe Spencer is absolutely part of it with Jaime Esparza. Can you believe it? Yeah. And yeah, absolutely, he was part of it. There's no doubt that there's just too much hard evidence. He's the one that handpicked Joe Spencer. There's too much evidence. And he handpicked Judge Sam Madrano. Judge Burrell, I believe, she, I guess maybe she saw the tea leaves and she said, I'm going to get the hell out of this. I'm going to say, oh, I know one of these victims and I'm just going to recuse myself. Or she was forced out to let Sam Madrano get in there because they're good friends. Jaime Esparza, Sam Madrano, Joe Spencer, Judge Guadarrama. And this is really evil, but it's very, very, very obvious that because the evidence points to it. And so there's no doubt that it happened on the 3rd. And on the 4th, we have the timestamp of the application for the appointed counsel. And why is that so important? That's really a key, a real key, because that's declares Patrick Crusius indigent, right? That's the right word, indigent, meaning poor. That he needs to have the taxpayers pay for a defense attorney for him. That's what that means. Well, he wasn't indigent, and they didn't spend any time. Look, the timestamp was for 5:42 a.m. on the 4th. So, you had the absolute chaos the day before, and of course at the jailhouse it was chaotic. And yet they got that application for appointed counsel real quick. What does that tell you? Well, that indicates that this was planned out. that they didn't think they would get into any trouble. Of course, people would look and see it, but they're so brazen that they feel like they have their offices covered. They've got all the offices all the way up covered, and that they could just get away with it. Get away with having a very, very fraudulent document that was the key to open the door for the open checkbook, for the open checkbook to exploit the American taxpayers for millions and millions of dollars. And that happened very, very quickly. 5:42 on a Sunday morning, y'all. 5:42 on a Sunday morning. And I looked it up. We looked it up. And it takes normally, I mean, the fastest you could ever see an application like that would be 3 days. So normally it takes around 7 days. 7 days to look into the finances, the expenses, the earnings of a defendant before they are declared indigent, and the taxpayers have to pay a limit, $15,000 to $25,000 for defense. Well, that all that all just got ignored, totally ignored, and um, and Joe Spencer came in right away. How do I know that he came in right away? Because we have a recording of him saying that when he first went to see Patrick Crucius 2 days after the shooting. So that means on the 5th. So he came definitely on the 4th, and things that would prove that would also be expenses charged. Expenses charged right away, right? Like a case review. And that would absolutely show people that might be in doubt. I'm not in doubt. I'm not in doubt. But it would show people that might be in doubt that he was absolutely part of the case right from the very beginning. And I would say that he was part of the case before it even started. Before it even started. Because with that audio recording that we have, that he met with Patrick Crucius on day 2, that would be the 5th, to say that Patrick Crucius didn't have any clue, had any clue that what he had done. It absolutely, right from that start, but even as a defense attorney, right from the start, when you know that your client has confessed, right? I am the shooter. When your client has signed an application with 000, with, clearly a signature that shows concern for fine motor skills, um, then you have to even, and then you're talking to him, and he's saying he has no idea. Um, then you have to say, wow, I need to get a competency test. I need to get a um, mental health evaluation um, on my client, right? I am the defense attorney. I need to do that because if he's not competent, then as an attorney, I know I didn't know this. I had to look this up. We had to look it all up. Um, he would, that confession of I am the shooter could be thrown out. If he's not competent, it could be thrown out. So, what a defense attorney would do would absolutely order a competency hearing and have a competency um, test done on his client for a chance that he could have the confession thrown out. I mean, that's what a good defense attorney would do. But that's not what happened. And the other is signing that application and also even having the motor skills to be like a Rambo, right? Like a Rambo. You had to be like a Rambo, very trained, in order to pull off what they said that he did in the manner in the very short time with a weapon that would jam, that would overheat. Um, it absolutely, you'd have to be a Rambo. And I think that everybody would agree with me. I would think everyone would agree with me that Patrick Crucius, Pat C, is not a Rambo. Okay. He's not a Rambo. He's not trained. He just shows everything but being a Rambo, right? And also, the competency test would also question the whole manifesto, right? Would question the whole manifesto. So if he's not in his right mind, and he would then go into the hands of another agency. He would leave Joe Spencer. So Joe Spencer, you know, uh, said he met with Patrick Crucius, and Patrick Crucius, well, in his words, he says he had a broken brain. And he had no, he wasn't competent, right? That's really in all his words. That's what he's saying, and that's 2 days after the incident, right? 2 days after the incident. But we also have more um, audio, and the audio shows that uh, he's talking to Judge Madrano and Judge Guadarrama, but Judge Madrano's not even on the case yet. That's why, absolutely, Jaime Esparza handpicked Sam Madrano, and that this was orchestrated. This was orchestrated because why would he say that he talked to those two and told them that he would do it, but he wasn't going to do it for nickels and dimes. He needed to have an open checkbook, so to speak. Why would he say that? And when would he say that? He couldn't say it on the 4th. Are you kidding me? Like on the 4th, they're getting together. Sam Madrano's not even on the case yet. And the federal case, give me all the information for the federal case, right? It This is all before it ever happened. That's my opinion on it. With all the evidence that we have, because it's just as as you even go in further, you see all the discrepancies and the delays and what it took to get Sam Madrano in. And Sam Madrano's actions as a judge are absolutely despicable. And then, of course, Judge Guadarrama's his whole actions are absolutely despicable because he's having a wedding right there in the federal courthouse between Patrick Crucius's brother and his manager, his federal courthouse manager's daughter. And not only that, that his federal courthouse manager's son is working with Jaime Esparza and James Montoya in the DA's office as a cybersecurity, um, as a tech person, right? As a tech person, as a trained hacker, and given access to cases. And not only that, but with Walmart cybersecurity, and not only that, but with the FBI. So Michael Maiella Jr., and it makes you wonder what was Brian Blake Crucius doing at the time, because he's also very handy with the computer and finances and banking and all of that, accounting, right? He's the accountant. He's the cyber accountant. And then, of course, you have Jonathan Ambrose. And then you have, of course, um, the military end to this, which is Dallas Hart. And, all of that needs to be investigated. Uh, but you know, we're still gathering up our own investigation and submitting it. And we did take time out to go through some of the dispatches. And one that we loaded up or uploaded onto Facebook is about the um, two males with the tactical um, vest on, right? With the uh, gray or dark SUV van. We believe it's a Safari, a GMC Safari van. That's what we believe because of other information that we're getting. And so it's, all indications, all the witness statements, the people that have died through all of this. It's very clear that, this was an operation. This was an operation using our agencies and our military to conduct. And once you look into it, and I'm not even trained, right? We're not even trained to look into it like you would a CID or an FBI or an intelligence officer or even a military investigation, which all should have been done. And they would have found very, very quickly all of this pattern of all these discrepancies, all these anomalies, all these clear, hard evidence that this was planned. And you had Jaime Esparza with the conflict of interest with his sister uh, being called to the scene before it was secured and walking the scene. And not only walking the scene, but videotaping it. And, so that is absolutely a crime. That is absolutely tampering with evidence. That is absolutely a crime. So, uh, yeah, it's Jaime Esparza needs to, in my opinion, he needs to be arrested with Joe Spencer, with so many others that help not only orchestrate this, but then profit, profit off of it, and agreeing to delay and profit and delay and profit and everything. So very clearly, and really, at the end of the day, I really believe that Patsy is a patsy, that Patrick Crucius is a patsy. I really believe so, and I have this sneaky feeling. And, if you're out there and you're working in William Beaumont or VA and you've heard things or whatever, but it needs to be investigated, needs to be subpoenaed. But I have this sneaky feeling that Patrick Crucius is connected to Fort Bliss, right? That he's connected. I know Fort Bliss enough. I know the military enough to know that with his family being right there in El Paso, with his severe mental health conditions, I really feel like, he's connected to Fort Bliss. And I believe that other people are connected too. I can't help but, wonder about people that you would least expect to be family members in all of this. To be family members, there is so much of that going on in this case. So, all of that is being forensically tested, and it's just like Belen and Danae being family members, Rosa Maria and Danae being family members, and their connections with Leilani Hart being family members with Tavita Nusa. And it just goes on, right? A lot of connections um, with even with Mario Raskin Ortiz, the chief medical examiner. But I think some that I haven't even mentioned before are also, and I'll even mention one. Jonathan Ambrose, I feel like he has some very interesting family members in this. Um, family members that you would least expect. Least expect. They kept it pretty quiet, I think. I think they can't keep it pretty quiet. So just like the Mayellas, just like Patrick Crucius, uh, being related to the Mayellas. You know, I think that there is even more of that going on, and it's really all coming out. So this was absolutely a close knit, very family oriented. I should criminal enterprise. It's um, I don't know if there's a Godfather in it or something. I don't know, but it is. It's and it's pretty big. It's pretty big. Um, so, and like I said, there's a common denominator with the Mormon congregation and with being a veteran or veteran disabilities. And of course the cartel tied. So that is, uh, I know that that is a lot to take in, but that's where the evidence is. The evidence shows. I mean, if Joe Spencer was serious about being a defense attorney, he would have absolutely called for a competency test. And it's required by the law, too. It's required by the law. So, him not calling for a competency hearing is also criminal. So, and then, this whole thing with facilitating Patrick Crucius's sentencing or guilty plea, this whole plea deal to 90 hate crimes, when you absolutely have admitted on audio to others, that Patrick Crucius is not a racist, and many times, not a white supremacist, but you are using it for the media to target the real aim of this. And the real aim was to um, do a smear campaign for the 2020 presidential campaign against President Trump, to discredit him, to lie about his character. You know, it is just an ugly game, and they absolutely did that. That's on record, and they even got called out for being liars. And if anybody's wondering about Ernest Christopher Grant, absolutely he's epic. Absolutely he's intelligence. Maybe he's DEA, maybe he's an FBI informant, maybe we know he's prior military there. So, we know that he had a warrant out for his arrest. We know so many things about him, and we know that he was a liar. So, I guess the truth will come out about him. But, why isn't he arrested? Why isn't he arrested for what he did? It's just so egregious what he did. So they tried to arrest him once, right? Um, so does he have? That's why I feel like it's certain that he's an agent, because how does he get this kind of immunity? The same thing with Leilani Hart, who we know that she speaks Chinese. So how does she get this kind of immunity, right? It's just it's very telling. It's very telling. So, for these people that are totally up to no good, that mean us harm, absolutely mean us harm, and they might not even think that way. They might say, "What do you mean?" Because they don't even realize how bad it is what they do. They don't even realize it. And that reminds me of Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, because she's such a fraudster. And I don't think maybe she does. Maybe she does realize the harm that she does. But it's bad. It's very, very bad. So, this thing with Ryan Ruth, I wanted to address it a little bit because Ryan Ruth has connections with Hawaii. Ryan Ruth has connections with North Carolina, which means a lot because of um, Garrett, right? Of General Garrett. Ryan Ruth has the connections with Ukraine, and you know it is interesting how they allowed him because he has a record and everything to operate with such impunity, right? To travel with such impunity, to operate with such impunity when he was absolutely up to no good. And it is interesting who he has connections with that link him um, to Richard's case. And, here he is trying to do away with President of the United States. Um, that's what I'm saying. This case is so big because it involves billions of dollars that people are wanting to protect, and they will go to extremes. Yes, to try to protect it. So, Ryan Ruth, we have a lot of information on him, and it's like what you don't expect. But I'm telling you, this criminal activity is all connected. It's all connected. What happened to Richard, what happened in the Walmart case, and the actions against President Trump, they're all connected. And it's going to be very, very interesting how President Trump, addresses the situation, right? Addresses it and solves it. So, and please God, let him live through it, right? Let him live through it because they don't like him. They don't like him. He messes up their gravy train. So thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Thank you for your uh, love and your prayers. They mean the world to us, and we're very, very grateful for them. And we're almost there. Um, we're almost there. Well, we've been there, right? It's just waiting for President Trump's administration to get there, right? A lot of people are very frustrated because they want to see arrests, they want to see accountability. So, they have to be driven to it. They have to be driven to it. So, and I have faith that it's going to come. Uh, you know, justice is in the air. Absolutely. I mean, look at what we've uncovered just with the criminal law magistrate court being totally illegal. It's just huge. It's huge news. So I'm going to try to come on a little bit earlier tomorrow and give you really a good outline of all the things that um, that need to be corrected. That need to be corrected. So thank you so much. God